Is this okay? Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
So we've all gathered here for the 17th session of Srimad Bhagwatam Mahapurana on our weekly meeting of Thinking Thursday. Hare Krishna, Sharma ji. We all welcome you once again.
Thank you.
And it's always our pleasure to have you with us and enlighten us on this third canto of Srimad Bhagwat Mahapurana. The topic is Questions by Vidurji Maharaj. So shall we listen to Hare Krishna for some time, for about 2-3 minutes?
Yes.
And then we are going to begin our talk by Sharma ji.
Yes.
It'll be nice if we all can chant together. Of course, we'll put our mics on mute because if we all chant together, it'll be, there'll be too much disturbance. So you can keep your mics mute, but just keep chanting.
And video on.
Yeah, please leave your videos on. It'll be nice. Thank you. Shall we begin, Sharma ji?
You have to unmute.
Yes. So who will initiate the recitation of today? Shakuntala ji, Varsha ji?
Okay, okay.
हाँ, शकुंतला जी आप हिंदी में
Yeah, हाँ, ठीक है. नारायणम
Narayanam
नमस्कृत्य
Namaskritya
नरम
Naram
चैव
Chaiva
नरोत्तमम
Narottamam
देवीं
Devim
सरस्वती
Saraswatim
व्यासम
Vyasam
ततो
Tato
Tato
जयम
जया
उदीरये.
Jayam
Udiret.
Udiraye.
So the translation of this shloka is, before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Nar Narayana, Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author.
So last time we started discussing about Mahatma Vidur, and I think Shakuntala ji had asked, when Mahatma Vidur came to the Earth planet, who was taking care of his activities in the Yamaloka. So at that time I did not remember the name, but I have the name today. His name is one of the demigods. His name is Ariyama. So he took charge of the Yamaloka as Yamaraj, as his 100 years according to the Earth calculation. On Earth net. In the heavenly planet. Does anyone know the calculation? The comparison between the time factor on the Earth planet and in the heavenly planets?
I
We
think
celebrated, yes, go ahead.
I think on the earth we have one yug, and on the heavenly planet maybe it is one day. Brahmaji.
1 year. 1 year.
1 year.
1 year on the Earth planet
Yeah.
is equivalent to 1 day
Okay.
in the heavenly kingdom. So our 6 months are like 12 hours for them, and 6 months, 12 hours for night. Yeah, 12 hours daytime and 12 hours nighttime. So 24 hours on the heavenly planets is equivalent to 1 year on the Earth planet.
So, sir, that means that we get to do much more in this time than they get.
Actually, they get more time, no?
Because they have only 24, like there is 1 day, but we have whole year that is equivalent to their 1 day. So we can achieve much more, which they can achieve in just 1 day. We get 1 year.
Yeah, so that means they can achieve much more than us in 1 day. What we achieve in 1 year, the demigods can achieve only within 1 day, according to their calculation.
Okay.
So they have more facilities. Their lifespan is more. And the Earth planet is known as Mrityuloka, right? And the heavenly planets is known as Swargaloka. So there is no Mrityu in Swargaloka. You will never hear that any demigod died. Demigods, they don't die. When their duration of their service finishes, then they leave the heavenly planets. They don't die. They come to the Earth planet in the human form of life generally. Or sometimes they are pushed down from the heavenly planets by the demons. Or sometimes they had to take birth on the Earth planet due to getting some curse from any sage, due to their misbehavior. But otherwise, they don't die like human beings die. Yeah, I hope everybody knows this difference between the human beings and the demigods. Correct? So Mahatma Vidur, in his previous life, he was Yamaraj. Now, who remembers why Yamaraj had to come down in the form of Vidur, Mahatma Vidur, and that also from the womb of a maidservant, not any queen. Like a low-class woman who was like a maidservant in the palace of Hastinapur. Anybody remembers what was the reason behind Mahatma Vidur or Yamaraj to come in the form of Mahatma Vidur on the planet and live here for 100 years?
He got a curse, I think, from
Yes.
Mandavya Muni, I think.
Yeah. Mandavya Muni or Manduka Muni.
Ah.
And what was the reason that he was cursed?
Because his job is he was Yamraj, so his job was to give death. तो मे बी उन्होंने किसी को गलत डेथ दे दी थी या थोड़ा टाइम ज्यादा उनको सूली पे या ऐसा कुछ नहीं.
Anyone else remembers about this incident because of which Yamraj was cursed by Manduka Muni? No? So very brief, I will say that Manduka Muni was sitting in his hermitage, in his ashram, in a meditative pose, in the lotus pose, meditating. At that time, some thieves came to hide in his ashram. They stole some valuables from the palace of a king. So that king's soldiers started chasing them. And because of the fear of the soldiers, they came and hide in the ashram of Manduka Muni. And secretly they left the ashram because the valuables were very heavy. They left there. And then when the soldiers arrived there, and they knew that the thieves had entered that ashram of Manduka Muni, and they went around. Manduka Muni was sitting in the meditation. When they found the valuables, then they thought that main culprit was this Manduka Muni. Maybe he was the chief of those thieves, and they were following his instructions. Now he is pretending that he is meditating. So they first tried to wake him up, but he was absorbed in the meditation. So they carried him in the same pose, in lotus pose he was sitting, and they brought him in front of the king. And king also didn't listen to others. The saintly ministers were there. They were telling king that you should not punish him, but at that time king did not listen to them. And with other prisoners who were already there in the prison house, together the king ordered to give them capital punishment. So in Hindi we say Suli pe chadana. In those days, they were not criminals were not hanged till that. They were made to sit on the bhala, right? So सूली पे चढ़ाना था उनको. तो जब मंडूका मुनि को उन्होंने सूली पे बिठाया, मंडूका मुनि was not affected. Only his bottom part started bleeding, but he was sitting still in the meditation. So other criminals died. And when king came to know that Manduka Muni was still alive and only his body was bleeding, but he was sitting in the meditative pose, then he got really scared. He told his soldiers to bring him down and ask for forgiveness. So then at that time, Manduka Muni, using his yogic mystic power, he went to Yamaloka, because Yamaraj is responsible for giving punishments or rewards according to the impious and pious activities of individuals. So he asked Yamaraj, what was his fault that he was punished like this? So Yamaraj told him that when he was about 5 years old, he had pierced one thorn in a wing of a butterfly and caused some pain to that butterfly. And because of that, he had to pay this penalty. So Mandukya Muni said, 5 years old children, they are very innocent. They don't know what is pious activities and what is impious, what is pious activity, what is sin. So they should not be punished so severely like you did to me for any sin committed at that innocent age. So you're not worthy of giving judgments. You're not worthy of sitting on the seat of a judge as Yamaraj. So you should take birth from a low class woman and stay on the earth planet for 100 years. That's your penalty. Now Yamaraj is a very elevated person. He could have countered the curse from Mandukya Muni, but he did not do that. We discussed about it. What was the reason that Yamaraj accepted the curse very graciously, very humbly, and did not counter the curse? He could have countered the curse. He could have nullified the effect of the curse, and he could have, in reaction, he could have cursed the sage, but he did not do that. This is a sign of a devotee. The devotees, when they see, and they are put in that kind of situation. So when they see the person who is being harmed, that person is a saintly person. So they respect the virtue of the saintly person and they accept whatever the harsh words the saintly person speaks. They don't retaliate. But there was a more important reason because of which protest did not object and did not get angry on Mandukya Muni. What was the reason? If anyone remembers, we talked about it.
या विदुर जी चाहते थे कि वो कुछ समय धरती पे भगवान के साथ जन्म और उनकी सेवा करें.
Very true, very true. Because Yamaraj knew that at that time Lord Krishna was to do his Leela, and Krishna comes on the earth planet once in the day of Brahma. That means millions and millions of yugas. After millions and millions of yugas, Krishna comes to the earth planet in his original form. Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, not as an incarnation, but he comes himself from Golok Vrindavan. So he appears in Dwapar Yuga. In one of the discussions, I had mentioned that every Dwapar Yuga, Krishna comes, right? But in all other Dwapar Yugas, Krishna comes as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. But once in a day of Brahma, Krishna comes himself, not as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So this was the time, 5,500 years ago. We are so fortunate that this was the time when Krishna came himself from Golok Vrindavan. So Yamaraj knew about it, and Yamaraj wanted to take the opportunity of that. Because Yamaraj knew that Krishna is his master, and it is not so easy for Yamaraj to meet Krishna in person. Like in big corporation, manager does not get an opportunity to meet the chairman so often, right? So Yamaraj also does not get opportunity to meet Krishna so often. And he did not want to miss this opportunity because he thought that Krishna himself is coming. So better, I also go to that planet and I stay there. And when I associate with Krishna, that will make me qualified, that will make me eligible to become liberated. Then I can cross over the whole ocean of material creation. I don't have to get stuck in the Yampuri. This is the liberation, we call it, right? We want liberation from our activities, day-to-day activities. No matter how much we enjoy doing what we are doing. But there is a time, the time comes, when we feel activities day out. So there's a provision made, on weeks we get 1 day off, right? So Yamaraj also wanted to be freed from that kind of bondage of, punishing the culprits, punishing the sinful people. How many different types of hellish planets? Does anyone know?
14 loka, 14.
14 are the different levels of the creation, the lokas.
Seven?
realms of-
7? 7?
Seven,
It's a
no, 7 are
14.
the heavenly.
14. So they say
49, 49, 7 into 7. There are
The
levels in
hellish
each
planets,
loka.
no, the hellish planets in total, there are 28.
okay.
28 hellish planets. The explanation, the elaborate explanation of different hellish planets and what kind of punishments are given due to what kind of activities, that description also is given in the Bhagavatam in the 5th canto, towards the end of the 5th canto. So there are 28 different types of hellish planets. So for different kinds of sinful activities, people are sent to different hellish planets for punishment. So
So,
Yamaraj, yes, Vashaji.
so when they say there are 14 worlds, right? They say 14 different dimensions, 14 worlds. So they say 6 above and 7
Correct.
below. So 7 below, aren't they the hellish planets? The 7 below are the,
That's
so then
yes.
how?
Now see, in each planet, sorry, in each universe, there are different planets. These, what you talked about, the 14 different levels, they are planetary systems, not planets. Planetary systems,
Okay,
right? So the
Yeah.
Earth planet is at the 7th level.
okay, yeah,
And below the Earth, there are hellish planets.
right,
So the hellish planets also, there are different versions, different types.
okay.
So in total, there are 28 different types of hells.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the Earth planet, we are in the middle. So we can go either to the heavenly planets or to the hellish planets according to our karma. Or if we are beyond the heavenly planets, we can go to the spiritual world. Heavenly planets, they are not spiritual worlds. They are still in the material world. But unfortunately, our conditioning is such, particularly amongst our Indian community, whenever anybody passes over, we just say, "Uska swargvas ho gaya." He went to heavenly abode. We don't say that uski mukti ho gayi. Right? So this is our conditioning. Because if anybody goes to even heavenly planets also, still he is not mukt, he is not liberated. After getting the rewards in the heavenly planets, that person is to come back on the earth planet. So Yamaraj was very much tired of doing that. Then he wanted to get liberated from that. And then he took the sage's curse as a blessing in disguise. He accepted it, and then he came in the womb of the maid servant of Ambika, who was one of the queens of Dhritarashtra. No, not sorry, Dhritarashtra, Vichitravirya. And then Ambika gave birth before Vidura. She gave birth to Dhritarashtra, and Ambalika gave birth to Pandu. Correct? So Dhritarashtra was blind. Why was he blind? Why was he born blind?
Because when Vyasa Muni had looked at her with fear, she had closed her eyes.
Dhritarashtra's mother, Ambika. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So because of her consciousness, so see from the scriptures, these incidents, we can learn a lot. The consciousness of the mother at the time of conception affects the child. So because she became very fearful looking at Vyasadeva. Now, why did she become so fearful? Vyasadeva was a sage. So why did she become so fearful of him? Why was she so scared by looking at him?
Because he was not her husband. Maybe because of that.
She already knew. See, in the previous Yuga, there was a provision. If any man would die without having any offspring, so the provision was made, the arrangement was made at that time, that that lady, widow, can invite one of the family members, that her deceased husband's brother, or any Brahmana, to sow the seed in the womb, in a womb. That provision was there. It is clearly mentioned in Mahabharata that provision is not acceptable in Kali Yuga, because there were some conditions to be followed. The sage or Brahmana who would be invited to sow the seed, he would do so as a duty, without being inflicted by lust. There should not be any lust in his mind, in his heart. Just to perform a duty to sow a seed in the womb of that widow, that person would do that. So Vyasadeva, on the order of his mother Satyavati, he had to do that. Actually, initially he asked his mother that he had just come from the forest after meditation, tapasya, and he was not in a proper attire. Physically, he was not looking so attractive. So he knew that, as a sage, he knew that. So he told his mother, that this is not the right time for me to sow the seed in the womb of Ambika. You give me some time. So Satyavati was very impatient. She said, I don't have time. You have to do it immediately. So she informed her. So Ambika initially, as a young lady, she had some kind of preconceived idea, that Vyasadeva would be looking so handsome and all that. But when she saw him, he was dark-skinned person. His original name was Krishna Dvipayan. That means he was darkish, like Lord Krishna. His name is Krishna, right? Sham Varna, not black, but Sham Varna. Sham means the like the green of the monsoon cloud. So his color was like that, and because he had done the austerity on that long hair, jatayu, and long beard, so when Ambika looked at him, she became so fearful. So out of fear, she closed her eyes. And then Vyasadeva, whatever order he had received from his mother Satyavati, he performed his duty, sowed the seed in the womb, and Satyavati was waiting outside the chamber where Vyasadeva united with the Ambika. See, now from this we can understand our Vedic culture was so broad. People were so broad-minded. A mother is waiting outside for her son to come out and tell her that he successfully sowed the seed in the womb of her daughter-in-law, who was a widow. Now, we Indians are accused of being very narrow. Actually, we were not. Our Vedic culture was not so narrow-minded, very broad-minded, because people were above the material concept of life. They kept their duties, their responsibilities from the perspective of spiritual life above all the other aspects, social aspect, legal aspect, moral aspect. Those things were very minor. More important thing was what is more important according to spirituality, and they would perform. Sometimes while doing so, they would get bad name also, so they won't care, because their conscience was clear. They were not doing anything wrong. They were performing their duty. So when people would criticize them, badmouth them, they won't care. So Vyasadeva, as a sage, he sowed the seed in the womb of his deceased brother's wife, Vichitravirya's wife. So when he came out from the chamber, Satyavati asked him, how did it go? What happened? So he said that Ambika will give birth to a very strong child, but he will be blind. So Satyavati was very much disappointed. And he explained to her the reason why. Because he said that she closed her eyes. She got so scared. Then Ambika said that Satyavati told Vyasadeva now you go and approach my another younger daughter-in-law, Ambalika, and you to sow the seed in her womb. So Ambalika heard from her sister, both were sisters also. They were sisters-in-law, I mean, in a way, and they were sisters also. They were queens. They had the same husband, and they were sisters as well. So when Vyasadeva went to the chamber of Ambalika, so she knew what her sister had told her, her older sister had told her. So she did not close her eyes, but she became very pale out of fear. And then after that, when Vyasadeva came out from the chamber, so Satyavati asked him the same thing. So he said that she will give birth to a child who will be very normal, but only very weak. His immune system would be very weak. His name was Pandu. What is the meaning of Pandu? Does anyone know?
Yeah, it's Pandu is we use for jaundice, Pandu rog. Pandu rog is
yes.
yellow.
Correct.
Because it's yellow
Correct.
complexion. In
Correct.
jaundice, our complexion turns yellow.
Correct. So that means there is a lack of red blood cell count. Hemoglobin becomes low. So because of that, the immune system also of that person becomes very weak. So he said that that person apparently would look normal, but very weak. So then Satyavati was not happy about it. Then she persuaded Vyasadeva again. After both of them, both the sisters gave birth, one gave birth to Dhritarashtra, other gave birth to Pandu. Then she approached her older daughter-in-law again, Ambika. So Ambika could not refuse, out of respect towards her mother-in-law, she could not refuse her. But what she did, she sent her maidservant to the chamber where she was supposed to go to meet Vyasadeva. And that maidservant served Vyasadeva very nicely. And after that, when Vyasadeva sowed the seed in her womb, and Vyasadeva also did not protest. He did not say what cheating is going on, why Ambika is not here. Because he was there to perform his duty, right? Out of lust, not inflicted by lust. So though there was a maid servant, so he performed his duty and came out. He just accepted the destiny. So when he came out from the chamber, so Satyavati asked him again. So he said, how Ambika cheated, played a trick. So Satyavati was very much upset about it. But then she was happy to hear that this child is going to be very normal, very learned, very brilliant, very scholarly, knowledgeable. And that was Vidur. And he was appointed as the prime minister. He could not be enthroned. He could not become the next king, but he became the prime minister. So in third canto, it starts with the meeting of Mahatma Vidura. Initially, Shukadeva Goswami is talking to Parikshit Maharaj, telling him about Mahatma Vidur. What was the reason? Because Parikshit Maharaj asked him that in what circumstances, at what place Mahatma Vidur met Maitreya Muni. The conversation between Maitreya Muni and Mahatma Vidur is in the third canto. Very important, very, so many things we can learn from that conversation. Because both of them, they are not ordinary people. Mahatma Vidur would not ask any mundane questions from a saintly person or like Maitreya Muni, and Maitreya Muni also would not give him very superficial answers. Very deep philosophy was discussed between Mahatma Vidur and Maitreya Muni. So there is a background how Mahatma Vidur met Maitreya Muni. So it is said that, does anyone know that why Mahatma Vidur had to leave Hastinapur? Why did he leave Hastinapur?
Yes, you told last time.
So can you summarize it?
Yes,
Please?
yes.
Thank you.
लास्ट में जब भगवान कृष्ण समझाने के लिए आते हैं कि दोनों में सुलह हो जाए और युद्ध ना हो। तो उसके बाद में आई थिंक हाँ, विदुर को बुलाया जाता है तो विदुर नीति बताने के लिए तो क्या करना चाहिए। तो विदुर ने कहा कि पांडवों को कुछ दे के और उनको राज्य दे देना चाहिए और दुर्योधन को इस तरीके से नहीं देना चाहिए। तो ये चीज आई थिंक उन लोग, हो सकता है मेरे वर्डिंग्स एक्यूरेट ना हो बट भावार्थ कुछ ऐसा सही था। तो ये सब चीजें बिल्कुल भी दुर्योधन को पसंद नहीं आई। दुर्योधन और उसके जो 2-3 फ्रेंड्स, उन्होंने इमीडिएटली बोला कि ये महात्मा विदुर को तो यहाँ से सभा से निकाल देना चाहिए, बिल्कुल निकाल देना चाहिए और इनको बिल्कुल भी बस इनको मृत्यु दंड मत दो लेकिन इनको हस्तिनापुर से ही निकाल दो। तो इतना सुनते ही महात्मा विदुर ने अपना धनुष बाण रखा और वो हस्तिनापुर छोड़ के और तीर्थ यात्रा पे चले गए। लेकिन इसके पीछे एक बहुत ही सॉलिड साइंटिफिक रीजन आपने भी बताया था, जो उसमें नहीं लिखा है लेकिन आपने बताया था एंड आई रिमेम्बर। आपने बताया था कि लॉर्ड कृष्णा की ये रणनीति थी, वो ये चाहते थे कि विदुर जो है वो कौरवों की तरफ से ना लड़े, इसलिए ये सब ड्रामा लॉर्ड कृष्णा ने अरेंज किया था, डायरेक्टर ऑफ महाभारत।
Script writer, yes.
Yes.
Because you mentioned about Krishna, and we chanted the Mahamantra of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. I want to just share this with you, all of you. Now, when we say Ram, it's very simple to pronounce. Ram. कृष्ण में हमारी जीभ टेढ़ी हो जाती है, हाँ, क्योंकि कृष्ण स्वयं टेढ़े हैं ना, हाँ, कृष्ण is crooked, so our tongue also goes a little bit crooked in the mouth when we say Krishna, right? जो संस्कृत वर्ड है वो कृष्ण, not ना, करेक्ट? ना के नीचे बिंदु आता है तो वो कृष्ण होते हैं। यदि हम इंग्लिश में लिखते हैं तो ना के नीचे, एन के नीचे एक बिंदु आती है, 1 point there, dot, so that becomes कृष्ण। तो कृष्ण का जो शब्द है, जो नाम है, उसके उच्चारण में भी हमारी जो जीवा है वो थोड़ी टेढ़ी हो जाती है, जैसे भगवान कृष्ण स्वयं टेढ़े हैं। So it is not so easy to understand Krishna. As many times I have said, his instructions are very contradictory. At one place he would say that you should respect your guru. If you insult your guru, your spiritual life is gone, completely gone. You're doomed. And on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, is telling Arjuna to kill his guru. So to understand Krishna's instructions, we need to take his instructions in context, not out of context. Then only we can understand his instructions properly. Otherwise, if we misunderstand his instructions, then we will commit offenses. So always we have to say take the whole package, not in isolated way. And generally it is said, we can follow the footsteps of Lord Ram, Maryada Purushottam, right? But we cannot follow the footsteps of Krishna. For Krishna, we need to follow his instructions. And with regard to Lord Ram, we can follow his footsteps. If we try to follow the footsteps of Krishna, we'll be in big trouble. Big trouble. Just follow his instructions. So coming back to this point, so yeah, you very rightly said what we had discussed before. So it was Krishna's politics. He's a great politician. Whatever qualities we see in the material world, all these qualities, they are at the topmost level in Krishna. Even cheating also, he's the biggest cheater. When we talk about thieves, stealing things, he's the biggest thief. And when we talk about cowardice, darpok, you cannot compare anyone who is as fearful as Krishna. when Mother Yashoda tries to chastise him, out of fear of Mother Yashoda, how Krishna cries. You know, the person who can control the fear personified. हाँ? जो डर जो व्यक्ति है डर उसको जो डरा सकता है वो अपनी माता से कैसे भयभीत हो जाते हैं. सो उसकी कोई सीमा ही नहीं. जब भी वो अपनी लीला करते हैं ना तो उसकी लीला का बखान करने की भी कोई सीमा नहीं, उसको नहीं पा सकते. So it was Krishna's plan, because I repeat what I said during our last session. With regard to Bhishma Dev, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, even Karna, Ashwatthama, Krishna was not so scared. While, you know, when it comes to safeguarding Arjuna, he was not scared of them, because he knew that Bhishma will not harm Arjuna. Dronacharya, Kripacharya will also not Arjuna. And Karna was equal to, in a way, Arjuna. So Arjuna could defeat him if Krishna supported. But when it came to Vidura, Vidura was a very, very objective person. You know, he was the epitome of piety, dharma, very fair. So whatever role Vidura was given, Vidura would play it very well without being biased on any side. Like, you know, for example, when he was sent to Indraprasth, Dhritarashtra sent Vidura to Indraprasth to invite Maharaj Yudhishthir for the game of dice. Right? So Vidura, because he went as a messenger from King Dhritarashtra to King Yudhishthir. So he was playing the role of a messenger. At that time, he did not advise Maharaj Yudhishthir as his uncle, because he was Maharaj Yudhishthir's uncle, Pandu's younger brother. Pandu is Maharaj Yudhishthir's father, right? So he could have advised Maharaj Yudhishthir that you should not accept this invitation, because there's a big conspiracy going on there against you. He did not do that. He just invited him to go for the game of dice. If he had told Maharaj Yudhishthir, please don't accept this invitation, as your uncle, as your well-wisher, I do not want you to go to Hastinapur, otherwise you will be in big trouble. He could have done that, but he didn't do that, because he was playing the role of a messenger from one king to another king. So he was not there as an uncle of Maharaj Yudhishthir. So Krishna knew very well that Mahatma Vidur is like that. Now, if he goes to the battlefield and fights against Pandavas, at that time he would not think that they are the sons of my younger brother, they are my nephews, I should not harm them. He would just fight on behalf of King Dhritarashtra as a fair person. So Krishna was more scared, more worried about Mahatma Vidur, and he did not want Mahatma Vidur to go on the battlefield. So what did he do? Shakuntalaji, do you remember how Krishna played the trick and how he provoked anger in the heart of Duryodhana, in the mind of Duryodhana? What did Krishna do?
That though I don't remember exactly.
Okay. When Krishna went as a messenger of peace from Pandavas to Dhritarashtra's court, now he went as a messenger from King Yudhishthir to King Dhritarashtra. Now, from the from the code of diplomats, from the policies of politics, if we see, when Duryodhana invited him to stay in his chamber or Dushasan's chamber, Krishna should have accepted that invitation, because he went as a messenger from one king to another king. So if the crown prince is inviting him, so Krishna was duty bound to do that. Krishna did not do that. Instead, Krishna went to Vidura's place. He became the guest of Vidura. And he knew that Duryodhana was against Vidura from the beginning. So he knew that, if he goes to Vidura's place and stays there, Duryodhana will become very angry at Vidura. He will become angry at Krishna also, but he will become more angry at Vidura. So Krishna played this trick. Now see, normally we say Krishna is very neutral, right? He's God, he's very neutral. But Krishna himself says that when it comes to protecting his devotee, Krishna becomes biased. He becomes partial. Then Krishna also doesn't care if other people criticize him. Oh, you're very biased. You're very, very partial towards devotees. Yes, he openly says, I'm partial towards my devotees. When it comes to protect the pride, the respect, the life of my devotee comes, I keep all my other principles aside. I just follow what I'm supposed to protect, what I'm supposed to do. Bhakta Vatsala, no? The protector of his devotees. Then he doesn't follow his laws, what the laws he himself has established. So this is Krishna. So Krishna provoked that anger. And then what you mentioned, Shakuntalaji, earlier, that when Dhritarashtra called for Vidura to discuss, because after Krishna left, then Dhritarashtra wanted to discuss with the prime minister what is to be done. And Vidura was very fair. Openly he told Dhritarashtra, he told him that when Duryodhana was born, astrologically also the planetary position was such, which was showing that, he's a demon. He will become the cause of the devastation of the whole clan, Kuru clan. So he reminded Dhritarashtra that at the time of his Duryodhana's birth, he had told Dhritarashtra and Gandhari that it is mentioned in the scriptures, for the welfare of one family, whole family, one person can be sacrificed. One family member can be sacrificed. For the welfare of a village, one family can be sacrificed. To protect one province, one village can be sacrificed. And to protect one nation, one province can be sacrificed. So these examples he gave. So he told Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, you sacrifice your son. Don't be so attached to him. Otherwise, you will bring back very bad name to our whole clan. But Dhritarashtra did not listen to him. So Vidura reminded him at that time. And Duryodhana was sitting there in the presence of Duryodhana. See, this is the boldness of Vidura. He was not scared of him. He was a prime minister. In front of the king, and in front of the crown prince, he's openly telling king what he should be doing. He should punish his son. And he very well knew as a prime minister, when he was saying like that, he could be punished. Dhritarashtra could punish him, but he was very bold. He performed his duty as a prime minister, what he was supposed to say, honestly. So he was not scared to speak the truth. So when Duryodhana all these things, he became very angry. He was angry with Krishna also for not accepting his invitation and going to Vidura. And then after that, whatever Vidura was saying, it was like pouring ghee in the fire. So Duryodhana became very angry. Then he insulted Vidura. Now here I want to ask, most of you may be knowing about Mahabharata. When Draupadi was brought to the court by Dushasana was dragging Draupadi, holding her hair. At that time also Vidura was there. And at that time also when Vidura spoke to Dhritarashtra that what he was doing, it was completely wrong and he should punish Duryodhana and Dushasana and Karna also. So at that time also Duryodhana had insulted Vidura. But at that time Vidura did not leave. He did not leave Hastinapur. But at this time he left Hastinapur. Why? Same reason, that Krishna is Paramatma sitting in his heart. Otherwise, at this time also, he could have just accepted the humiliation caused by Duryodhana when Duryodhana was insulting him, like he insulted in the court also when Draupadi was there. But at this time, Vidura did not accept. He felt very much wounded. And this was Krishna's plan. Because Krishna sitting in everybody's heart as Paramatma, he inspired him to leave now. This is the time for you to leave and go and visit the places of pilgrimage. And don't fight against Pandavas. So Vidura just, took this opportunity and left. And then he visited so many places of pilgrimage, different places. Very detailed explanation is given in the third canto. Vidura visiting different places of pilgrimage and associating with different saintly people on those places of pilgrimage, taking bath in the holy rivers. Now he was very curious to get more spiritual knowledge. So now when he went, he left the court chamber of his brother, King Dhritarashtra, and he wanted to get more spiritual knowledge. He could have directly gone to Krishna. He did not do that. It was very easy for him to go to Krishna and, inquire everything from him. Krishna is the most knowledgeable person, but he did not do that. Why didn't he go to Krishna? Instead, he decided to go and visit different places of pilgrimage and purify himself. He was already a pure devotee, right? Krishna accepted his invitation. Not invitation. Without invitation, he went to his place. So what kind of elevated person Vidura was? On the other hand, Duryodhana invited him, but Krishna did not accept. And here, Vidura did not invite him, but Krishna went there. When we feel some kind of comfort, we feel very comfortable with the person, very familiar with the person, then only we go to that person without any invitation. We don't hesitate. We don't think twice. Right? So that kind of relationship Krishna had with Vidura and Vidura had with Krishna. But still, Vidura did not go to Krishna after leaving the palace of Dhritarashtra at this time. Instead, he decided to go to visit places of pilgrimage. Can anyone guess? What would be the reason?
Is it because that you cannot go to God directly? You have to go through a guru to get your knowledge?
Yes, can be acceptable. But what to speak of, not going to my question again. Before, he had personal relationship with Krishna, right?
Yeah, but because
Krishna
Krishna is
went to
God
his
himself.
home. He ate
Hmm.
there. It was so the Krishna had so much affection for Vidura and his wife. Vidura's wife, when she was feeding Krishna, she peeled the banana and threw the banana away and giving him the banana peel, and Krishna accepted it. Krishna ate that. So that kind of personality, Vidura and his wife, those personalities were there. So yeah, to a larger extent, you're right, Varshad, you're absolutely right, I would say. Because at this time, Vidura realized he was thinking about that incident when Draupadi was insulted in the court of Dhritarashtra. In his presence, though he spoke, he protested, he objected. But still, after that kind of humiliation of a daughter-in-law of such a big family, big clan, he accepted that humiliation and he stayed back with Dhritarashtra. So he was feeling very regretful. So as a repentance, he wanted to do the atonement first, purify himself, to go and approach Krishna. And then he decided to go to places of pilgrimage to purify himself, because he was feeling very much kind of unqualified person to go and seek the knowledge here from Krishna directly. And when he went to places of pilgrimage, the Kurukshetra war took place. Whole Kuru clan was destroyed, and the Yadus also, they killed each other. So Yadu Vamsha also, Yadukul also was destroyed. And then Vidura heard all these things there when he was at the places of pilgrimage. Now then what he did, before meeting Maitreya, he met Uddhava. Uddhav. Who is Uddhav?
He's also Krishna's friend.
Krishna's friend and Krishna's cousin.
Cousin?
Yes, Krishna's cousin also.
Okay.
He's also Krishna's cousin. And Uddhav looked almost same like Krishna. Same like Krishna. That's why when Krishna sent Uddhav to Vrindavan, because Uddhav was very knowledgeable, very learned, very philosophical, Jnani. So Krishna wanted to show Uddhav that bhakti is superior to Jnana. Devotional service is better than knowledge. So to make Uddhav realize this fact, he sent Uddhav to Vrindavan to see gopis, to meet gopis, and learn from their devotion, how devoted they were to Krishna. So when Uddhav went there to Vrindavan, so initially gopis thought that Krishna came back because Uddhav looked same like Krishna. Then Uddhav had to tell them, I'm not Krishna, I'm Uddhav, Krishna's cousin and his devotee. And when Uddhav saw gopis' devotion towards Krishna, their affection and love towards Krishna, very pure love they had, then he forgot about his whole knowledge. He said that he could not reach to the level of gopis, the love and affection, the devotion they had for Krishna. He was nothing compared to them. He realized that. So the point I want to make, Uddhav was Krishna's cousin and he looked like Krishna, and Krishna had personally instructed him before leaving the planet. So when Vidura met Uddhav, now I would request all of you, if you can get a hard copy of this Bhagavatam, the whole set, from any of the ISKCON centers, or you can just do the Google search. The soft copy also is available. Whichever way you feel comfortable. Please read the conversation between Vidura and Uddhav first. You will learn, if you study that analytically, scrutinizingly, then you will learn the social etiquette. When we meet someone in the society, if we want to ask for the welfare of the other family members, in what descending order we should ask that. So Vidura started asking Uddhav and told him that he came to know that Yadu dynasty and the Kuru dynasty, all the members, almost all the members killed. Kuru dynasty, the members got killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and Yadus, they fought amongst themselves and killed each other. So Vidura is asking Uddhav step by step about the well-being of everybody. And if you read the order in which he's asking, Vidura is not an ordinary person. Great politician, knowledgeable person, philosopher, and a devotee. Everything in one person, all these qualities in one person. It is very difficult to find all these qualities in one person. The person who is very good philosopher, who knows social etiquette, who knows how to do devotional service, and who knows how to preach also about the devotional service to others. So Gyan, Vairagya, Yog, Bhakti, all these gunas, all these qualities, very difficult to find in one person. And Vidura is one of those very rarest all qualities he has. So when you read the questions he's asking Uddhav, and how Uddhav is answering to Vidura's questions, so many things we can learn from that. So before discussing the topics of the conversation which took place between Mahatma Vidur and Maitreya, it is advisable that one should read the conversation between Mahatma Vidur and Uddhav. And this meeting was arranged by Krishna. And here also, Uddhav, when Mahatma Vidur asks Uddhav about the spirituality, Uddhav did not give him the replies. He said, I need to go to Badrik Ashram now before I leave. But he was waiting to meet Mahatma Vidur so that he can instruct him according to Krishna's plan that who is the right person from who Vidura can acquire knowledge, proper spiritual knowledge, and get the answers to his questions. And then he recommended, Uddhav recommended the name of Mahatma Maitreya Muni to Mahatma Vidur. So from scriptures, we can learn so many things. How we should behave in our society also, in our family life. Many times, especially amongst Indians, this is the misconception people have. People, when they start going to the temple, visiting temple very often, doing devotion service, so very sarcastically people comment on such people. Ye bhavana ho gaya. He has become very useless now for this society. A devotee, he becomes more useful for the society because he knows very well how to behave in the society, what kind of social etiquette one should follow. He has more compassion for the people in the society and will become more genuine, more loving, more affectionate. So this kind of misconception we need to remove from our mind, our polluted, contaminated mind. That kind of thinking is not right. In the Sindhi language, there is a proverb. Some of you for Sindhis, they may understand. I will get later. Charyo chokar and khoto dokar kar mandara je hawale. Those who are Sindhis, can anyone help me to translate for the benefit of others, non-Sindhis? I repeat, Charyo chokar and khoto dokar kar mandara je hawale.
Koto dokar, how can you do koto dokar to the mandir? So charyo chokar means mad person.
Yes.
And koto dokar means nakli paisa.
Correct. Yes.
Right? वो मंदिर में
Yes.
दे दो. जो पागल हो और जो खोटा सिक्का हो उसको मंदिर में दे दो.
Correct. Yes. Very true. So that was a practice before, because people, they used to have so many children. So supposing, one guy is a hopeless, a little bit dull headed. So they will say, okay, pujari ko jaake sop do, ye mandir mein jaake puja seva karega, pujari ki sahayata karega. That person will go and assist the pujari in the temple. Who cannot be useful in the society, that person can be useful for the temple. That was the mindset people had. And people in India, normally it happens, आरती की थाली में on the plate of आरती, the सड़े हुए गले हुए नोट उसमें डाल देंगे. जो बाहर दुकानदार कोई नहीं लेगा वो उसमें डाल दो, आरती में चल जाएगा. भगवान के पास सब चलता है ना. हाँ, भगवान के पास सब चल जाता है, वो फटे हुए नोट भी चल जाते हैं वहां पे. And opposite to this proverb, Prabhupada used to say, Krishna consciousness is not for lazy and crazy people. We want people who are hardworking and who are intelligent, who can use their intelligence to preach the message of Krishna to everybody properly, without what we call speculation, without speculating the message. We want such intelligent people. And we want people who are very hardworking, who are not lazy. If it comes, to work for Krishna, they should be ever ready. So spiritual life is like that. So when the person becomes more spiritually inclined, socially also his status automatically rises up. This is the byproduct. Material progress automatically happens for such a person. Like, when we do this Hare Krishna mantra, we say Kirtan karna, right? So what is the meaning of Kirtan? What is the meaning of Kirtan?
ईश्वर की कीर्ति फैलाना.
Absolutely. Absolutely. To glorify the Lord. Right? So when we spread the kirti, the glorification of the Lord's blessings help such a person that he is glorified. Right? There are so many kirtaniyas. They have become so popular nowadays, especially in Hong Kong. We have many yoga studios. They invite the kirtaniyas to do the kirtan there. And they become very popular. Because they glorify the Lord. So when someone glorifies the Lord, the Lord makes arrangement for the glorification of such a person. उस व्यक्ति की भी कीर्ति फैलते जाती है. So this is the byproduct, the fame and material progress also. These are byproducts of spiritual progress. So there is no loss when we adopt the spiritual path. When we start progressing in the path, the material progress automatically happens without extra effort. What things normally can become so difficult to get, those can be achieved very easily when a person starts practicing spirituality, devotional service. Right?
On
So
that,
in the beginning, yes, Varsha ji.
can I just share one quote? I just love this quote. I don't know who it's. I don't know who has written this, but it says, "तुम वही करते हो जो तुम चाहते हो, होता वही है जो मैं चाहता हूँ। तुम वही करो जो मैं चाहता हूँ, तब होगा वही जो तुम चाहते हो."
Absolutely.
I love this quote.
Yes. Can you translate it for others? Somebody maybe not so familiar with Hindi.
I think everybody must be understanding Hindi. I mean, it would be difficult. You always do what you want, but that, I don't know how to say this in English. Umaji?
It's a beautiful quote, no doubt about that.
Umaji, please translate that in English.
Okay, let me try. कि आप एक सेंटेंस बोलिए, आप
Okay.
गेट इट.
तुम वही करते हो जो तुम चाहते हो.
You do whatever you feel like or what you are willing to do.
You want to do.
You want to do. But हाँ बताइए.
होता वही है जो मैं चाहता हूँ.
Whatever I want. Here I stands for God. I want. So that what happens, whatever I want. And हाँ आगे बताइए.
तुम वही करो जो मैं चाहता हूँ.
You do whatever I want.
तो होगा वही जो तुम चाहते हो.
So it will indirectly you will get what you want. I hope I made an attempt.
Yes.
I mean, that's the best translation it can be.
Yes. Very rightly. Thank you, Umaji. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
So this is the difference, If we start following the injunctions of Krishna, then Krishna's Maya, we say Maya, right? The energy which is controlling the activities in the material world, that's called Maya. And amongst the devotee community, we say Maya is Krishna's Aya, Krishna's maidservant. And Krishna is the employer. So if we follow Krishna's instructions, then Krishna will see us as his children, obedient children. So as an employer, he will order Maya to provide we as his children want. So Maya will be duty bound. She has to follow the instructions of her master, Krishna, and she will provide what Krishna's children want. And then they don't have to endeavor so much. But the objective behind doing devotional service is not to make our material life easy. That should not be the objective. And actually, many times happens actually, the devotee's life becomes more difficult compared to the life of non-devotees. Because Krishna tests his devotees. He creates problems. Purposely, Krishna deliberately creates problems in the lives of devotees. We see best example, Pandavas. So many difficulties they have to go through. So many miseries they have to face. Right? So through these kind of devotees, Krishna is setting an example for us to learn that devotional life also is not so easy. We should not have this kind of thought in our mind that when we become devotees, everything will become smooth. No, sometimes the life can become more difficult, more challenges we have to face. Because the world is like that. My mother normally gives example, that supposing on all these your 8 fingers and 2 thumbs, on the nails, you keep the ghee wicks, diye ki bati, and you light those. Diya jala ke rakho. Lamps, like lamps, to bring light to people, to a person. Supposing the one ghee wick falls, the person will criticize you for that one ghee wick which fell. Will not appreciate for the 9 ghee wicks which are burning on your nails, causing so much pain to you. He will not appreciate for that. He will criticize you only for the one ghee wick which fell down. So the world is like that. It is very, very difficult to please people, to always keep them happy. Very difficult. People who are happy with us, pleased with our activities today, tomorrow the same people may criticize us if something goes a little bit wrong. So that's why it is said, that when we read the scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita, it helps us to be more detached. Now, detached, that does not mean that we become neglectful. Detached means what Krishna says, detached from the outcome of our activities. Outcome, responses of the people when we interact with them. We should be detached from those responses. Because as I said, today the person may be admiring, appreciating so much for the person. Tomorrow the same person may go against us if little bit goes wrong. This is the material world. So when we have this knowledge, then we become more aware how to deal with such people also. So there is no loss at all when we start doing the devotional service, start reading from the scriptures, discussing from the scriptures. It enlightens us not only from the spiritual perspective, or from the viewpoint of the material life as well. We learn how to live our material life also properly. Yes? Any point, other point? Someone wants to raise? Any question before we conclude today's session?
Sir, can we ask a question from like any part of our Grantha or Veda or something?
If it is relevant to the topic we are discussing, in general, you can.
It's
What
not
question you
relevant.
have?
No, it's not relevant to our topic. It's just a question about the what is written in Vedas and all.
You can go ahead. I will try.
I recently came across about Lord Brahma, that he married his own daughter.
Mhm.
So I want to
Yes, it is true.
so I want to how can we accept that? Like how can we treat him as God when he married his own daughter?
Yeah, now see, we need to, as I mentioned in the beginning, that all these things, whether it is Krishna's instructions or any quotes in the scriptures, we need to see this quotes, read this quotes in context, not out of context. Now in the heavenly planets, of course, there are demigods, there are wives also, but in general, there is no marital relationship as such. There is no boundaries as a marital relationship, what we see here in the material world. Like what to speak of the heavenly planets in the material world also, what I said, the norms which were practiced in the previous yuga, in the Dwapar yuga, like Vyasadeva, he impregnated his sisters-in-law. In Kali Yuga, it is not acceptable. On the same planet, the norms have changed because yuga has changed. So heavenly planets, they are at the different realm, right? Now, when it comes to the marriage, is not the exact word. Actually, what happened when the yagna was going on, Brahma was performing the yagna. From that, Saraswati appeared. So when Brahma saw the beauty of Saraswati, he was affected by the lust. Then he released his vital fluid. From that, if I remember correctly, Bhrigu was born, Bhrigu, Brahma's son, and he's known as Manas Putra, because there was no union between Brahma and another woman. Just only he thought about it, and then he ejaculated, and then from that Bhrigu was formed. So he's known as Brahma's Manas Putra. And then Brahma realized his grave mistake, what kind of low thinking he had. So he gave up his body and he changed his body. He purified himself. So the demigods, they have this ability. If they commit any kind of offenses, they can give up that body and get another body. Now, in our material world here on the earth planet, the significance, it is said, there is so much of significance of taking bath in the morning, because we commit so many sins in our dreams. The desire to commit sins, they are there in our subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind becomes so active when we are relaxing at the conscious level. So those desires pop up. And then, we in the dream, we do so many nonsense things. So that means our body becomes contaminated. So we need to get rid of that body, but we cannot give up the body and get another one. So to purify our body, in our Vedas, in our scriptures, the provision is made of taking bath in the morning to get rid of that reaction of those dreams, bad thoughts in our mind. I don't know whether it answers your question or not.
Yeah, it's okay, sir. Thank you.
No, you said that, how can we worship
Yeah,
such demigods, right?
yeah.
But see, whatever position they're superior to us, right?
Yes,
They
true.
have more powers. They have more powers than us. Now, if we just hold on to this kind of one offense of such highly elevated personalities, this is our ego. Compared to their offenses, we are doing innumerable offenses. If the creatures who are lower than us, they look at us, how come they are qualified to take the human birth? They are doing more nonsense things than the animals do, right? So in this material world, we call it the world of the creation of duality. There is no one absolute. Everything is very relative. Somebody is relatively pious and somebody is comparatively sinful. There is no one who is absolutely pious and there is no one completely sinful. So we are living in the world of duality. So that's why Prabhupada used to say, we have got this body, contaminated body. We need to make the best use of the bad bargain. It's a bad bargain. So now it's up to us. How can we make it work for us with the maximum benefits? So the point I want to make, we should not just become too much analytical about these things. Sometimes even people, they talk about Lord Shiva when he ran after the Mohini incarnation of Lord Vishnu, that he was so lusty, right? But compared to Lord Shiva, we are nothing, right? And Krishna uses these personalities as Pandavas also. Krishna uses these personalities for us to learn some things from their life experiences, from their incidents. Instead of, pointing fingers at them. Whatever they did, they are still superior to us. Why we go so far to the heavenly planets? In India, what is happening? There are so many politicians, they do so many nonsense things. But because they are at that position, we have to be respectful towards them, right?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
position plays the position is
That's
very
true, sir.
important.
But like Lord Rama, God Rama, he is the ideal embodiment of our like Adarsh, the
Correct?
Purushottam, we call him.
Yes, Maryada Purushottam. Yes.
Purushottam, and we try to follow his Adarsh in our lives.
Yes.
He is the Purushottam Ram.
Yes.
For Krishna also, there are no in any like there are controversies, but not so much that we can put finger on him. But like I am also ignorant, but I've heard that because of it, Lord Shiva cut one of his heads. Lord Brahma's like had 5 heads. Lord Shiva cut one of his heads because he committed this crime. Like this, for this he had to cut Brahma's head. So I don't know, like I am like desirous of reading Vedas and under a guidance of a guru, but still the question recently I read about it, so it cropped up in my mind, so I asked.
Yes, I appreciate that, and I am thankful for you to bring this up and sharing what you read from the Vedas. So as I said, Ambikaji, right? So we need to read these quotes, these incidents in context, in what context they are written. And instead of being critical of those highly elevated personalities who are much, much higher than us, we need to think from that perspective. If personalities like these can commit such offenses, in what position we are?
True.
We are nothing, right? So from this, we can understand how powerful Krishna's Maya is. Krishna's Maya can bewilder a person like Brahma, a person like Lord Shiva. So what to speak of us, जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, हम किस खेत की मूरी हैं? यदि ऐसे व्यक्ति लोग प्रभावित हो जाते हैं भगवान की माया से, तो हम कौन सी गिनती में हैं? So we have to be extra careful, and be more submissive, be more humble in our approach when it comes to spirituality. If we just become critical and start and other higher personalities, that kind of mindset, that kind of mentality will create more obstacles on our spiritual path. It will slow down our progress. We need to learn from these examples and then be more submissive and say, if Krishna's Maya can influence personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, then what to speak of us?
Thank you.
Right? I hope this discussion helps.
Right. It helps. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
I think हमको judgmental नहीं होना चाहिए. Basically, when we say मतलब कि scriptures
Yes.
ऐसा है, so we should not be judgment. This is what I think.
See now, since this topic was very nice, appropriately at the right time, was raised by Ambika ji. See what is happening in India. People, due to their previous karma, they have reached to a higher position in the society, and they become so critical of the personalities like Lord Ram and Lord Krishna. Many some time ago in the parliament, some ministers, they raised the objection that Bhagwat Gita should be completely boycotted because Krishna is talking about the caste system. Krishna never talked about caste system. He's talking about the Shudras, he's belittling Shudras and all that. Krishna never did that. Krishna clearly mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita the categorization, the class according to the guna and karma, not according to the janma. So if people, they with narrow thinking, they think that, if somebody is born in the Brahmin family, automatically that person becomes Brahmana. It is not Krishna's fault. Krishna clearly said according to the guna and karma, not according to janma. So ministers, they come up with this with very limited thinking, or rather no thinking at all. They criticize openly. Krishna is like this, Lord Rama is like that. He uh, forsake his wife when she was pregnant. What kind of husband is he? So without understanding the whole thing in context, they become very critical. So we need to be very mindful. When we start talking about these things, these incidents, we need to be very, very mindful, very careful. Yes. So yeah, you rightly said, Shakuntalaji. In this area, we should not become judgmental.
I think spirituality now, like as what we are now, it's more कि हम उसको पहले मानेंगे तो ही हम उसको जान पाएंगे. What we I think do is we try to know it before, मानने से पहले हम उसको जानने की कोशिश करते हैं. This is somewhere.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
And we are not enlightened enough to understand that level of spirituality yet. It's like, I'm in class 1 and I'm trying to understand the university level course.
Correct. Yes. जानने की तो कोई बात ही नहीं होती ना. Because we are very limited. Our intelligence is very limited, and Krishna is beyond our intelligence. So it is in our for our benefit, that we need to just accept him. जैसे आपने कहा, मानना है उनको. जानने का प्रयास इतना नहीं करना चाहिए, क्योंकि हम जान नहीं सकते ना उसको नहीं जान सकते. We are not capable of understanding him completely.
Not with the intellect, actually. Only when he pours his showers, his blessings, maybe we get that realization to understand such scriptures.
See, when we talk about, somebody, some of you may know about different levels, different layers. Our Atma is covered with Panchakosha, we say, right? Panchakosha. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, then Anandamaya Kosha. And then is the Atman. So now, Vijnanamaya Kosha is below the Anandamaya Kosha, bliss. And Anandamaya Kosha is below the Chetana, the Atman. So, if our intellect cannot reach even our Atman, our own soul, what to speak of Paramatma? Does it make sense what I'm saying? So we cannot reach, we cannot understand him with our intelligence. Our intelligence is not capable of understanding him. But that doesn't mean that we should stop reading from the scriptures analytically, scrutinizingly, because when we do that, it will have purifying effect on our consciousness. When our consciousness gets purified, then we become qualified to be close to him, not understand him completely, but to be close to him. So for that reason, we need to study the scriptures. For our purification. Not with the intention of trying to understand him. We cannot understand him. Yes, we can just, glorify him, glorify his activities according to what our limited understanding allows us to grasp. So that will have purifying effect on us. So for our own purification, we should do that. Not to know him. Once somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, Swamiji, have you seen God? Now Prabhupada, he was very bold, very witty. He asked the reporter a counter question. If I tell you yes, will you believe me? So the reporter did not have any answer. So Prabhupada said, you won't accept my answer. So if you're not willing to accept the answer, don't ask any question. You should ask question with open-minded, being open-minded. You have preconceived answer in your mind, and you want to see whether my answer matches your answer or not. And if it matches, you will glorify me. If it doesn't, then you will criticize me. Then Prabhupada told him that, don't ever try to see God. Prabhupada said, we are not qualified to see God. Even Krishna's dearmost devotee, Arjuna, he was not qualified to see him, his divine form. And Krishna had to give him Divya Drishti, right? Divine vision. Then only Arjuna could see his Virat Swarup, gigantic form. In the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is mentioned. So Prabhupada said, what are we? Our contaminated vision cannot see him. But you act according to his instructions, his injunctions given in the scriptures, then he would like to see you. You live your life as a human being in such a way that God wants to see you. And then your life is successful. When the person who has given you the life, if he is interested in your life is successful. So live like a proper human being. Yes? So we stop here today. And then when we meet, as I mentioned to you earlier, I request all of you, very humbly, I request all of you, please read from the 3rd canto, whether it's a hard copy or soft copy. If possible, you get hard copy. The whole Bhagavatam set you can get from any ISKCON center. There are so many ISKCON centers throughout India. Get the hard copy and then you read the conversation between Mahatma Vidur and Uddhav. Very interesting, very deep conversation between both these two highly elevated personalities. Yes? Okay, Shakuntalaji, Varshaji.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Very
Thank you.
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you so much.
informative session. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.